I came across this post a day ago, and this was right up my lane. This person asked this question: why are so many people choosing not to have kids anymore? The post is real short. This person says more people are choosing a child free life. Why? Is it money, freedom, or the state of the world? Parenthood used to be the norm, but now it's a choice. What's driving the shift? Y'all know this type of post is right up my lane. And I am in the comment section, so I'm not even going to editorialize. Let's look at a few of these other people's comments, and then mine are going to pop up because people did start coming for me just a little bit. So Chuck Me Off says, in this economy? And Rosie the Red Reddit says, conservatives, don't have kids if you can't afford it. Millennials, okay. Conservative, angry face. So they're talking about the economy. It is way too expensive. That is something that we have talked about these days. Your resume says, remember Elon's rich mom? Yes, they were rich before Elon made his wealth. Going on TV and lecturing poor people that they need to start having more kids, even if it's hard. Such a delusional statement. Very out of touch. Nine, not a nihilist, says because she doesn't want to lose her labor force. Burn Bob Ghost Pants. Burn Bob Ghost Pants says, or consumer market. They can only balloon their wealth for free, invest in the population, and by extension, economy keep growing. And then Coleman down at the bottom says, nah, she meant white folks, not the guys down in her emerald mines. Okay, so this one made me chuckle. Butter the Toast said, I'd rather have one money and no kid than one kid and no money. And then Relatable Panic says, I mean, give me at least two monies. And then Gom Brindle says, you're going to need two jobs for that. And I don't know why this made me laugh, because Butter the Toast said, I'd rather have one money and no kid. And just the way that's typed out, it did make me laugh. Olympic Llama says, my wife and I work full-time and can only afford a one-bedroom apartment. My parents are still working full-time and will continue to do so, so we would have little to no support. And daycare is more than one of us working. The government is actively attacking what would be many systems and safety nets my family would potentially need. Also, our current iteration of government is in bed with the oligarchs who only want to profit and toss us all aside. The issues of the environment and climate change will continue with or without the acknowledgement of the human race. Water, food, and many resources are going to become more and more scarce as a result. Then we move on to the escalating international politics. Seems like a peachy time to bring someone into this world. Why would I inflict that kind of suffering on someone? Bam. That's pretty concise. I like Olympic Llama. Olympic Llama wrote out many of the things that people are considering. Adorable Secret says, better question. Why do we see having kids as the default? Why do people who don't want to have kids need a reason? My reasons for not having kids is I don't want to have kids. Bam. Some people simply do not want to do this. It should not be the norm. The norm should be people thinking about all of their choices and options. And it's like, do I really want to do this? Sometimes people say no, sometimes people say yes, but it's not an automatic that folks are going to have some babies. So here's where I come in. I said, have you not seen all the posts where moms are saying they're tired from doing nearly all the parenting and housework? Many women are watching. They know moms shoulder the majority of the unpaid labor. Moms are unappreciated and unsupported. And on top of that, it's too expensive. I say all the time that the birth rate needs to plummet to hell. Women are tired of doing way too much, and dads get to swoop in every now and then to take a picture. Okay, so I said that, and consider this is general population. This is not like a feminist thread. This is not a tip unlike majority woman subreddit. No, this is the general public. So people did take some exception to this post, me saying that women are tired of shouldering most of the responsibility. But let's look at some of the comments to me. Zesty Palm Tree says, exactly. Being a dad wouldn't be so bad, but being a mom is brutal. Extension Repair says, men want children like kids want puppies. Rumina Jolly says, yep, we'll have to sell motherhood to women. I mean, seriously, when people objectively look at it, what's in it for women to choose that path? Now let's look at Oracle. Oracle says, men are also people who don't want kids. I look at the fact that my father barely contributed to the household, and if I was going to choose fatherhood, I'd be all in for equal partnership. But due to all of the other factors listed in this thread, I still do not want them. Fatherhood also has massive responsibilities. This isn't really a gender-centric problem. And so then I said to Oracle, men can opt out, but using your dad as an example shows that men can have kids and just skirt fatherhood. Women ultimately shoulder the responsibility. So he's talking about men having choices, and he used his daddy. His daddy made the choice to create a child and then just skirt responsibility. At least he's saying, I'm just going to forget making the kid, then skirting responsibility. So that's good for Oracle for, deciding not to bring a child into the world. But the fact that he said, my daddy made me and then just didn't do anything, he literally proved my point. And then here's Oracle again. There are a million examples of deadbeat mothers dipping out on their families or being addicted to drugs and completely neglecting their kids. Is not a gendered issue, but feel free to keep playing the oppression Olympics. And I said, I didn't turn it into oppression Olympics. Women are overwhelmingly caretakers, and women's decisions to have kids or not is being tracked. And what I mean by being tracked is the birth rate is about how many kids per woman a country is having. They aren't really reporting on men, but men can absolutely opt out, but women still hold the main keys to this. And then he says, LOL, it takes two people to make a baby, right? Never mind. I just saw you're one of those 2X chromosome freaks where your entire personality is man-hating. I'll pass on any further convo here. So he's saying he thinks that I'm a man hater, but I simply think that women do too much and men don't do enough. So that's basically my premise. Surreal Salt says, in all countries of the world, it is mothers who carry out the majority of the care work and take responsibility for the family/social network. The data clearly shows that this is still gender specific. These facts have absolutely nothing to do with an oppression Olympics. See, another person has to swoop in and fluff me up a little bit because these people think that I'm just being antagonistic or whatever. Oracle says, cool. I don't doubt that at all. It still doesn't answer the question, why are people choosing not to have kids? There are a ton of factors involved, and many of them affect men too. Your point isn't relevant. He does not think that we see, like single women, child-free women, he doesn't think that they see this and say, nope, I don't want to do this. They absolutely do. This is part of a factor of why some women opt out. It might be all of the things listed in this thread, but having to shoulder the responsibility if you are a woman is something that women do talk about. Surreal Salt says it's relevant in that certain possible reasons do indeed disproportionately affect one gender, and your statements on this are factually incorrect. And it certainly makes sense to take a closer look, since women have long been equally involved in generating household income. This is nothing new. Yet with regard to care work, children, caring for relatives, etc., there is still no corresponding relief, neither from partners, statistically speaking, nor from the government, labor market policy, family policy, etc. It isn't surprising that this, among many other reasons, has an impact on the birth rate. This person handled it perfectly. And remember above, he said that it takes two people to make a baby. I was like, women can navigate y'all opting out because of sperm banks. I said that even though he said that he was done talking to me because I'm one of those 2X chromosomes freaks. Y'all know I like to mash my posts together. I'm purposely putting this at the beginning because what I put past this, talking about these other Reddit stories today, it also fluffs up why so many people are choosing not to have kids. Because sometimes when you have kids, it ends up looking like these next couple of Reddit posts or these stories. Because women Women are tired of what some of these dudes are putting them through. Let's look at it. Another post that fluffs up why the birth rate should plummet to hell. And this is another husband that needs to be blindsided because how dare he? This was posted in the marriage subreddit. She says, husband called me a stupid B word. Yeah, so we had one husband earlier today that I talked about where he told his wife to F off, and this husband is calling his wife a stupid B word. Now, men jump into single women's comment section and say, you're going to be alone, you're going to die alone. But then on the other hand, we're seeing stories like this where some women are stressed and being abused emotionally, whatever. And it's like, being single, isn't being single better than this? All right, let's look at her post. She says, I don't know what the hell is wrong with that man. We were together for a whole decade and he never spoke to me like that. We were supposed to go to my in-laws for Father's Day at 9 a.m. to eat at their place. I got up late. I woke up at 5 a.m. to feed our baby and overslept. He was already irritated because I wasn't ready at 9 a.m. I told him, well, you didn't get up early in the morning to feed the baby, so of course you're waking up on time and with plenty of energy. I was washing the baby's bottles and getting everything ready and checked the time, and it was already 10 a.m. I went to go double check with him and asked if we were still going before I started my makeup. He starts giving me an attitude and said, well, yeah, what the F were you doing this whole time? I thought you were getting ready. Why are you asking me a dumb question? Blah, blah, blah. That got me mad, and I said to him, you could have just answered my question with a yes or a no. It's that simple. He proceeds to give me an attitude instead of apologizing. Things, of course, escalate, and he tells me to shut the F up. And I said, no, maybe don't tell me to shut up. Maybe she means don't tell me to shut up, or I'm going to keep talking. He gets more angry and said, shut the F up, you stupid B word. Mind you, he's the one that started the argument in the first place. Oh, and while he's carrying our baby, I'm taking this as a sign we definitely need a divorce. There's no way I'm going to allow my son to think that it's okay to speak to your wife like that. It just hurts. He knows the hell I went through to give him a son. I had severe preeclampsia, and then I got 2 hernias from the pregnancy that require surgery. I'm having surgery this month for that. Thankfully, I don't need him. I have a village that will help me. It's unfortunate that he waited until he got me pregnant to reveal his true colors. And once again, for the women, for the people, I specify women that say, why didn't you see that? It couldn't be me, blah, blah, blah. You need to vet better. She said that they have been together for a decade. You cannot vet right now for 10 years later. You absolutely cannot. Sometimes these people do wait until you're pregnant, until you're isolated, until you have stopped working, until they allow their mask to drop. So you can please stop talking about choose better, because who you choose right now in 2025 may not be the same person 2 years from now, 10 years from now. So stop blaming women for ending up in a situation like this. And I'm glad that she has a village and she has support. And I'm glad that she's thinking about divorce based on this. And she's not going to allow him to continue to talk to her like she's crazy and call her B words and all of that stuff. Because that is not a healthy way to continue a relationship and allow a boy especially to grow up to see his father talk to his mother like that. Now, let's talk about Chez's comments. Chez's comments goes back to the fact that women are typically the ones that do the majority of the chores and do the things related to parenting. Look at what Chez says. Chez says, you were supposed to leave at 9 a.m. You were up with your baby during the night. So why were you washing the bottles and getting everything ready, presumably baby-related items, when you could have been getting yourself ready while he washed the bottles? How did he not know what you were actually doing? You are not the stupid bee in that house. This is precisely that, because the women have to get the baby stuff together, the kids stuff together, and they have to get we have to get ourselves together. The men's world, their life doesn't typically change too much. He had to get himself ready. And he didn't even think to see what needs to be done with this child. What can I take off of her plate? Because obviously she's sitting up here juggling the baby. She's washing stuff. Maybe if I just take that off and do that, she can get herself ready. No, instead, he's just getting angry with her. Here's the OP saying, my thoughts exactly. Thank you. Ches says, you know that you deserve better than this. I can see that from your post. Good luck. Now, whoever wrote this post, they deleted the comment and deleted their account. But to that, the OP says, no one warned me. I was always told I need to have a career before I get married just in case. I had a career, but one of my agreements was for him to provide for me so I can be a stay-at-home mother. I guess now that I'm financially dependent on him, he feels he can disrespect me like that. I went through all of these sacrifices for him to treat me like this is crazy. So she's basically saying that she was working. So she was working and she stopped working. So at least she has her career foundation underneath her. But this is one of the things that we talk about, getting pregnant, leaving your job, losing a job, moving across the country, and you're isolated. But this woman has a game plan. She has her village. So she's already thinking, no, I'm not going to take this. This woman is going to start executing her plan. Ragdoll says, truth. Happened to me. I had postpartum depression. He didn't care. I was exclusively breastfeeding on demand for months. Didn't matter if I said no to sex. He would ghost me, give me the silent treatment, and continue to not help around the home. A baby did not change anything. We divorced. Best day of my life. And then here's the OP saying, oh my, it's insane how common this is. I'm sorry you also had a terrible postpartum experience, especially the breastfeeding. That's hard both mentally and physically. Men really do lack empathy for us. And then Ragdoll at the bottom says, very true. Some nights he wouldn't take no for an answer and would verbally abuse me all night. The sad thing is I had nowhere to go at the time, just me and my infant. I cried so many nights asking myself why I wasn't enough. That person died when I left. Serial killer says, record him, get all the evidence, secure your documents, buy gift cards when grocery shopping to build a stash. And to that, the OP says, I have enough evidence and already stashed some money. So she's game planning. This man is going to be blindsided, and he deserves it. And now we have a man. We will return after a brief mansplanation. Totally sure that this is a man. Slow Masterpiece says, it's impossible to hide your true colors for 10 years. The fact that you jumped immediately to divorce tells me there are other issues, or that you were looking for an out long before this issue arose. Now, I'm not saying the way he spoke to you is okay, because it's not. But this is the first time this has happened in 10 years. Either he's going through something or your postpartum is taking over the house and you're both suffering. Also, are we looking at a tiny moment in your whole relationship? Do you two argue frequently? Are you aggressive when you talk to each other? Also, do you realize how postpartum, this is definitely a man, can be for women, and how your hormones can affect your mindset, attitude, mental state, and perspective? Like, yes, women have to go through that personally, but men also have to learn how to live with a new partner. Again, what he said is not okay, but maybe you both need to work on how you interact and communicate with one another. Maybe you too should go to therapy. And then this part that I circled. But jumping to divorce is a red flag on your part, especially when you were the late one. Did you apologize for being late? She was late because she overslept, because she had to wake up with the baby. Why is she apologizing for that? Why didn't he do some of the bottles? Like, literally, this is why I know that this is a man. Anyways, here's the OP responding. She says, I promise he never spoke to me like that. Trust me, otherwise I would have not chose him to have kids with. There's definitely other factors. I just didn't want to go into detail. But long story short, I caught him on a dating app while I was pregnant. It's not until I was pregnant that he waited to show his true colors. That's what I meant by that. He was faithful throughout the 10 years, but I guess he felt he trapped me once he got me pregnant and assumed he could do whatever he wants now without consequences. Unfortunately, him verbally abusing me is the final straw. I tried to make things work and forgive him, but he's just being an a-hole now. And still, the man needs to lay some blame at her feet, saying, no one hides that for 10 years, but people do change over time, on his end, yours, or both. But him cheating on you should definitely be the reason you are leaving. Obviously, him talking to you like that isn't okay, but that goes both ways, and you shouldn't want your child to be around someone who talks like that or who cheats on women. But don't let this experience jade you against men. There are really good men out there. The fact that this man swoops in and speaks like this is just so annoying. It's very annoying when they do that. It's like he can't just say this dude was wrong. He needs to also, lecture her a little bit as if she doesn't know her lived experience. But this woman is being graceful in how she responds, saying, no, I agree there are good men out there, but like what, 5% of the male population? LOL. Well, regardless, I'm making it my life mission to raise a good man, starting now by me leaving. I can't have him think that this behavior is okay. So she did not let this man, lump everything on her. And I am very happy with this woman. It seems like she is resolute and already thinking about leaving. But it probably did start with the fact that, when he planted the seeds that he was going to step out by checking out dating apps near her. The dude has the audacity, but she is going to blindside him. Y'all, let me know what you think about this. We have another soon-to-be blindsided dude. This was posted in the relationship advice subreddit. So she's 29, husband is 31. She says, my husband wants kids, but I think I want a divorce. Okay, let's see. Like I said, soon to be blindsided. She says, my husband and I have been together for 8 years. So since she was 21. So they've been together for 8 years. The last 3, we've been married. Little things keep adding up, and I don't know how to approach these issues. He wants kids soon, but I can't trust that he'd support me. I'm trying to figure out if I want to try to work on us or just leave. Recently, as in the last 4 years, I've been dealing with chronic health issues, but just this year alone, I've had 3 surgeries to fix various things for my health. Our sex life hasn't been good in a few years since I got ill, maybe once or twice a month. He has told me that it's not enough, and he's feeling rejected and is making his mental health worse. But if we have kids, we won't be able to have sex while I'm recovering. So she's having physical issues is leading to a jacked up sex life, but he's just internalizing it. It sounds like maybe they should part. She says, I work 5 to 6 days a week, 12-hour night shifts in healthcare. I am the primary breadwinner in our relationship. He bounces from job to job and recently was unemployed for over a year while he was claiming to be applying for jobs. I know the job market is horrible right now, so I wasn't pushing. I found out he was lying. He hadn't applied for anything in about 6 months, including the jobs I got him recommended for through some connections I have. We got into a massive fight, and I basically told him if he didn't have a job at the end of the month, I was leaving and he could figure out bills by himself. Not even a week later, he was back working at his old job. All right. She says, I still do all the cooking, cleaning, and household keep up. On my days off, I spend 3 to 4 hours just putting everything in order for the week. Even when he wasn't working, he wasn't doing anything except playing video games in another room while I slept. So when I'd wake up, there would be laundry I'd have to switch or cat litter I'd have to scoop. Pew Research says even when women are the breadwinners, those women still do the majority of the housework. That is absolutely true. I bet if this person would be a better partner and more supportive in doing all of the things in the household, like instead of playing video games, she wouldn't be as resentful as she is turning right now. He wants kids soon. He wants to anchor her down, is basically what that sentence says. He wants kids soon means I want to baby trap her so she doesn't leave me. But with my chronic health problems, it's going to make children a really hard process on my body. Lots of health risks. And I would basically have to be on bed rest the whole time in and out of doctor's appointments. I couldn't work or do anything really, and I'm just scared I won't get the support that I need. I don't even know if I want to have kids with him anymore. He gets money every month from a settlement, and he says it's enough to make up for the income I won't be bringing in if I get pregnant. The settlement payout every month is less than a quarter of what I make in 2 weeks. I feel like I'm his mother already. I feel like I'd be one of those married single mothers. I've asked him about therapy, individual or couples, and he is dismissive, saying therapy hasn't helped in the past. So I've asked about medications, but he doesn't want to take a pill every day. I don't want to come across as horrible or manipulative, but I'm about ready to write out everything I do. Bill payments, chores, time I'm at work, etc., and have him do it for a month and tell me he thinks that we can have kids right now. And then she must have been getting a bunch of comments because she swooped in and she made an edit. She says a few things. Since this is a real story and not AI, and I am a real person who is making choices in order to keep up with the current economy and situation. 1. I work the hours so I can build up my PTO and sick time for my procedures and recovery time. Yes, I have FMLA, but it only pays out about 60% of my wage versus 100% if I use PTO. Overtime accrues PTO times 2 and pays time and a half. We also have a pickup bonus of $10 an hour. I have been working at this hospital since 2015 as a CNA and phlebotomist since 2018 and an RN since 2020. So I have seniority and that comes benefits. Yay, unions. 2, I work night shift because it has the flexibility for my schedule and they work with me for my restrictions. I am lucky enough to work in a hospital that uses lifts and is staffed well as can be currently. Shift differential also gives me an additional $6 an hour and that quickly adds up. Number 3, my surgeries were laparoscopic and recovery time is about 1 to 4 weeks on average. Surgery 1 and 3 were both exploratory. My second was to remove a lesion on my intestines that connected them to my abdominal wall as well as a cyst on my ovary, and recovery was 4 weeks with 4 more on restrictions. I'm about to have my fourth surgery with 4 more. I'm about to have my fourth surgery to remove my gallbladder. Recovery is 1 to 2 weeks with 2 weeks of recovery. Yes, I have had a lot of surgeries this year, but I haven't had any before unless you count upper and lower GI scopes, pelvic floor testing, gastric emptying tests, x-rays, CTs, and MRI, labs, genetic testing, and HIDA scans. Or maybe the diet changes and medications that you have to be on for months at a time before you see any real change. I also have the birth control implant and me coming off of what would involve about 3 different doctors' inputs and oversights. Yes, it does sound like this woman has a lot of physical issues, and it definitely does not seem like a good thing to put a baby and a pregnancy on top of that. Gosh. 4, I blocked all of my husband's accounts and his friends' accounts that I know of. I plan on deleting this at some point, but I've just gotten angrier with each comment and everything I type out. At this point, I don't care if he finds this. Maybe it would be a wake-up call he needs. 5, our wedding was supposed to take place in November of 2020. That obviously didn't happen. We rescheduled to the end of 2021, so we didn't lose deposits. He quit his job about 2 months after our wedding. See, that whole bait and switch thing. 6, people do things like meal prep for a week and find relaxation in cooking. My hospital provides scrubs. When I am at home, I have more than 6 pairs of underwear, so it's not like I don't have clothes if I don't do laundry every day. Whew. So it sounds like she addressed a good chunk of the comments with these edits. She says, I appreciate all the comments, but to the rude ones especially, please remember that I am a real person. I'm sorry I have to justify every small detail of my health problems for you. Unfortunately, the knee brace girl in middle school sometimes grows up and still has health problems. This is my first time being alive, and not everything is going to be perfect. I'm trying my best, and sometimes people do stupid things because they love someone. After reading all of this, we know that we don't really even need to go through the comments. I'm glad that she said that as she was typing this up, she was getting angrier. And I do believe that sometimes that is what needs to happen with some of these Reddit posts. Just read this back. Is this something that you really want to do? She found herself with a pest that wants to nest and rest. He is comfy. He started to panic when he started to see that she's kind of walking out the door. And now he's talking about kids. These people will baby trap. They will start pulling out all of the stops in order to stop her from walking away. And I'm glad that she's seeing that. The fact that she has blocked him on everything, she has a game plan. She's about to start executing it. So I'm just saying, sometimes people do need to get some perspective, and she's gotten that perspective, and now the execution comes. All right, let me know what you think about this. Like I said, this is also part of the reason why the birth rate will continue to plummet to hell. If you see that, you can't even be sick. This woman is sick and she knows that things will not get done. They don't even have kids and things aren't being done. So she knows that if she tops it all off with the kid, she's going to be in a world of trouble. Anyways, let me know what you think. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
It's Father's Day. It's Father's Day. I love being a dad. Time to see how many of my kids have messaged me today. None, no messages. It's only 11:30. They got time. They ain't forgot about their dad. Okay, let me see if their mom then posted some new pictures that I can steal and post like they're my own. Great Father's Day. No, bruh. No, I haven't called my kids. The phone works both ways. Like, how long has it been since I talked to them? I mean, about a year and a half, but they know I'm their dad. They know what it is. They know what today is. They wouldn't do this to me. You know what? I got smart kids. They ain't gonna call me or text me or email me or send me a message on Facebook or post something on my Facebook wall. They're gonna mail me something. Oh, the mailman, I know it's 6 p.m. The mailman might not have run just yet. Yeah, bruh, stop calling me. I'm trying to keep the line open for my kids. No, they didn't call me last year either, but this year it's gonna be different. I promise. Look, they start garnishing my wages for child support, $20 a month per kid. They gotta call me. Look, I'm entitled to a phone call at least. See what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna post a picture of my cat. You appreciate me, don't you? I'm a good father to you, ain't I? You know what? Screw them ungrateful ass kids. I'm gonna make my own post. Happy Father's Day to a real one, me. Although it didn't turn out the way I expected it to, I love my kids nonetheless. Maybe none. I love my kids none. No, nonetheless. I'm a good father regardless of what y'all think and what I do and what I don't do. Happy Father's Day to all the real ones who got bitter baby mamas. See ya.